So welcome everybody to this information session about the Masters of Education in Early Childhood Education professional cohort. This is an online part-time program that will start in September 2026. And our hope today is to give you as much information as we can, leave some time for your questions, and if we are unable to answer all of your questions today, we will share our contact information with you at the end, and always happy to hear from you. And just before we begin, we would like to acknowledge that UBC Vancouver campus is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people, and that the land where we have the privilege to learn and work is situated on what has always been a place of learning for the Musqueam people, who for millennia have passed their culture, history, and traditions from one generation to the next. So here's our agenda for today. Again, a warm welcome to everybody who's joined this session. And I do want to emphasize that welcome is not only a word, but for us, it's a value. So our hope is that you will feel welcome during this information session, but hopefully if you're applying to the program, you will feel welcome throughout the application process, and obviously also feel welcome during the program. So after that, we will do a brief introductions, and you'll meet the key people in the program. We will do a program overview. Vicky is here to talk about the admissions requirements as well as finance and tuition. And then, as I mentioned, we'll keep some time free for your questions, and hopefully we'll be providing the answers. I just wanted to add that you feel free to use the chat during the session if you have a question that comes up and you're worried you're going to forget about it. So put it in the chat and we will monitor the chat and make sure that we respond to it. And my name is Iris Berger. I'm an associate professor of teaching. We can change that. And also am acting as the cohort advisor. Our senior program assistant, Nu Din, is currently on leave, but we kept her name here just because we're hoping for her to come back in a couple of months. However, Vicky Domansky, who will introduce herself in a second, is here, and she is our early childhood education program manager in the Office of Professional Learning. So Vicky, I don't know if you want to say hi now.
Sure. Well, hello everyone. As Iris said, I'm the ECE manager. I also administrative manager for the Office of Professional Learning, and I supervise and support our senior program assistant team, including new. So I'm always happy to answer any questions. We do have our team filling in during New's absence, so no worries. If you have questions, just reach out to us at our ECED email, and one of our team will get back to you.
Thank you, Vicky. If you could please move to the next slide.
Oh, yes. Sorry, it's
All
mice
right.
and screens.
And we just wanted to introduce you to other members of our early childhood education team because they're all part of our program. And here is Dr. Lori Ford, who is the early childhood education director. Right by my side is Dr. Koichi Haseyama, who is a lecturer in our program and is teaching some of the graduate courses in that online cohort. Already introduced Nu and Vicky, but we're excited to welcome Dr. Allison McCain. Dr. Allison McCain will be joining us in July as a lecturer in early childhood education and will also be part of our team teaching some of the graduate courses. So now I'll provide a program overview, and I know that there is quite a few details. So again, don't be shy to ask questions or even ask me to repeat part of the information if you feel necessary. But I just want to start with kind of general information in terms of if you're thinking, is this program even for me? So the program, which actually started about 12 or 13 years ago, so one of the very first Master of Education in the field of early childhood education, I think across Canada, the online one. And it was specifically designed to support early childhood education professionals in broadening their current knowledge in early childhood and related topics. And obviously, our courses are enriched with current theories and research-inspired practices. And so if you are working full-time and you think, is this program going to be a good fit for me? Wholeheartedly, I can say yes, because that was the vision that this program had in mind right from the beginning. I also want to emphasize that this program welcomes early year professionals in a variety of early childhood settings. So whether you're working in preschool, childcare, or kindergarten, primary grades, whether you work within a community center setting or a family support program, we have a number of students who work in policy departments in a number of provinces across Canada. You might be working as a consultant or an administrator or any other professional or leadership roles that are connected somehow to the field of early childhood education, then you're more than welcome to apply. Just if you could go back for a second, Vicky,
Sorry.
that's okay. So the here it's the third bullet point. I think it is important that even though, as you will see in a second, we offer a set of courses for you as a cohort, for those who become part of the cohort, but even though the courses that you will take will be the same, what we actually do through this program is we encourage you to kind of take what you're learning in a way that fits into your particular context and your community interests. And I want to add that the program generally also is meant to address, again, through the courses, the readings, the assignment, etc., to address social and ecological justice issues, especially those related to early childhood. Yeah, thank you. So again, a little bit of additional general information. The length of the program is 2.5 years, and it is part-time because, as I will explain in a second, the idea is because it was designed for professionals who are working, um, then you are expected to take at least one course during each term. Um, I know in the past we've had questions, is it fully online? And the answer is absolutely yes. The program is fully online. All of our core courses are built as online courses, and we also make sure that you can, if that's your choice, to take electives that are offered fully online. It is a cohort-based program, and I think that is very important. And there are research and statistics out there that actually show that cohort-based programs support students better and that the graduation percentage in cohort-based program is higher in graduate programs because it creates a strong sense of community. So if you can imagine, you'll be in this cohort for over 2 years. You'll get to know your peers very, very well. And that's because you take the majority of the courses together. I also want to emphasize that in this program, and as I mentioned, it's been around for almost 12 years now, we do have a very strong academic and administrative support. So we do work within the context of a faculty. We have faculty from different departments who support teaching in early childhood education. We also have the office where Vicky is working with. Now it's called the Office of Professional Learning. So we have a really strong administrative support, as well as a unit within our faculty that provides tech support in terms of course design or anything else that is related to technology and online learning. Um, the program culminates in a graduating project. So this is not a thesis-based master's program. And that's important for you to know because we do have an on-campus Masters of Arts or MA program, which is different from the Master of Education program that doesn't culminate in a thesis. So in the past, students are very curious about this graduating project, and maybe I will post, if I have a moment, I will post a link in the chat so you could see an example. But very, very briefly, your graduating project will look like an e-portfolio where you have an opportunity to put together your learning from the 2.5 years in being part of this program. However, it's again important to emphasize that when you actually are granted a degree, your certificate will say Master in Early Childhood Education or MEd, and it doesn't include the term online. And we also do have on-campus Master of Education program that is an equivalent to the online one. In terms of program requirements, and that's similar in a variety of graduate programs across our faculty, you will be required to have 30 credits. And that's typically comes up to taking 10 courses. And each one of the courses is 3 credits. So without making it too confusing for you, we have 7 courses that are set as core courses in your programs, in the program, and those are offered in a particular rotation or order. And those courses that each participant in the program will have to have taken. And then there are 3 more to make it 10 courses. So 3 more or 9 credits of electives that are chosen by you in consultation with the program advisor. And I can explain a little bit more about electives in the next few slides. I mentioned previously, this is a part-time program, and typically what we offer in terms of core courses is 1 course per term, and our terms are equivalent to UBC general calendar, which means we have 3 terms during the year. We have winter 1, September to December, winter 2, January to April, and then we have the summer courses that will typically be from May until the end of July or sometimes a little bit into August. So these are the 3 major terms, and in each one of them, you will be offered a core course. So our online courses are asynchronous, and that means that the entire course is offered, the entire course content is offered for you to study at your own pace. It means that you are not supposed to be at a certain time for a certain session or meeting. So the courses are designed for independent study. However, I do want to emphasize, and I think this is really important, that course instructors, but also myself as an advisor, tend to create opportunities for you to come together online to talk about the course or anything else about your program. So again, the courses are designed as asynchronous. You can go into the course, all the information, all the resources, the readings. The assignments are going to be within the course shell, but there will be many opportunities for you for interaction with your peers, with your instructor, with your advisor. So I already talked a little bit about how the terms work. I don't think I need to repeat that, but you might be curious to know, what does an online course look like? And so when you become a student and you are enrolled in a certain course, all of our courses are password protected. And then that means that you will have access to the course. And the way that the courses are built, um, or I should say, the courses are built in a way that you actually have access to the entire course. So most of our courses are structured around a weekly topic, and they run the typical term, 12-week time period. So if you can imagine, each week you will be introduced to a topic related to the course subject. There will be some introductory content pages, and then very often there will be videos or podcast or a variety of resources that give you information, enrich your knowledge about a particular topic, and very often there will be an interactive task that you will be invited to do, very often in response to your cohort peers. So again, you gain access to the course. You can see the entire course. You will see what the assignments are. All the readings will be there. All the resources that you need will be there. Sorry. And then we often have the question, so how much time do I need to spend on my course? And it's not that easy to predict on an individual basis, but I can say that if you were taking courses on campus, then at this level, our courses, when they're offered once per week, then they will be 3 hours class time. So that excludes the time that the students, for example, do readings and preparations and working on assignments. So we suggest for you to think about spending between 3 to 6 hours on course readings and interactions with your classmates. However, the time per week always depends on whether you have assignments this week or not. The good thing about taking an asynchronous online master's program is that you are pretty much, maybe not 100%, but you are in control of your time in terms of the expectations of the course. So if you have a free afternoon and you want to dedicate to do some of the readings, and then you carve a little bit of time on the weekend to write your reflections, the advantage is that you can work at your own pace, and that's a gift that the program, I think, provides students. So this is a very quick, again, overview of what the entire program, the MEd program, looks like. And so on your left, you can see the three terms that I talked about, the first winter term, and then the second, and then the summer term. And then over the top, you could see how the program works over the 2.5 years. So in the first year, you will have three courses that are more introductory. And then in the second year, you will have an opportunity to take some electives. We do offer an early literacy course that was created specifically for this program, and it is a recommended electives for you to take. And then in the final third year, um, you will be doing your graduating project in the second winter term. So again, I know it's a lot of information. If you have any particular question about the schedule, then feel free to put it in the chat or ask it later when we have some time for questions and answers. One thing I will add, because I can't remember if it's on a slide, we've obviously in the past had situation where students had to take a leave. And the nice thing about keeping this rotation is that if you cannot complete parts of this schedule, you can join the following year's cohort and kind of join them where you had stopped and complete the program with that cohort. And I think that's always good to know. I quickly mentioned that you will be taking 3 electives, and we make sure that there are electives online that you can choose from. If you can come to campus and take a course, that's great. And these courses can be taken either during winter or summer terms. And you can take up to 2 courses at the undergraduate level. And we have, I think, about 12 early childhood education courses at the undergraduate level that are offered online. You could choose 2 of those. And the last thing I will mention is that every summer we put together a summer institute on a special topic, and it is offered as a course, typically an intensive course, so over a week or 2 weeks in the summer. And that's a wonderful opportunity for you if you can to come to campus. So you might be wondering what opportunities open up for you following graduation. And we've had, again, quite a bit of an experience, and we do know that our graduate very often advance to senior leadership positions within their organizations. Some take up consultation or coordination roles. Some teach in post-secondary institution, and some of our graduate are actually teaching our undergraduate courses here at UBC. And in BC specifically, this program does qualify for the TQS salary advance for elementary education teachers. So now I will pass it on to Vicky, who can tell you more about the application process and finance.
Thanks, Iris. Okay, so the general admissions requirements are a 4-year undergraduate degree, where you are needing at least a B plus, which is 76% at UBC, in all senior level courses. We're only looking at third year and above, unless it's an international degree, in which case we look at the full set of courses. If you don't meet that, then we can also look at the third and fourth year credits that have at least 12 credits with an overall average of 80% or A minus in the field of education or related field. For those who don't have either a 4-year undergraduate degree or don't meet the GPA requirements, it is possible to still be admitted as a special case. If the admissions committee feels that you're a strong candidate, they can make a rationale and recommend the graduate and postdoctoral studies that you be admitted to the program. So there's no guarantees for that, but just because you don't quite meet a GPA doesn't mean that you're not going to be eligible to join the program. When you're applying, you do not have to have original official transcripts sent to UBC, but you do need to scan official transcripts and attach them to your application. And you must include all post-secondary institutions you've attended, with the exception of UBC, because we already have records, access to those records. That includes even if you took 1 transfer credit at an institution. So we need to upload those copies. Both the front and back pages. Sometimes the back page is blank, but quite often it has the transcript key. Again, Graduate Studies asks for both sides. As I said, if you have transfer credits or an exchange program, it must include those. So if you don't have copies of your transcripts and you're ordering them, you might as well order 2 copies. Keep one in the envelope that's unopened, and scan the other copy to send to us, or to include with your application. So again, when you're providing the transcripts, if you don't have, if you instead of getting paper copies, you can also order electronic copies. If you prefer to do that, you can send them directly to us at our email, eced.educ@ubc.ca. Um, Again, every post-secondary institution, um, and yeah, UBC transcripts are not required. Now, when they're considered to being considered official, the original transcripts would be that are received by UBC need to be either in the original official university envelopes that are sealed and they endorse the flap, or sent us by secure electronic documents. They need to, if they say unofficial on them, like sometimes you can download copies from the website for the institution and it'll say, advising transcript or unofficial transcript. Unfortunately, grad studies won't accept that. So it does need to be an official copy when you're uploading. And then if you are offered admission, you then have to have those the original official copies sent directly to UBC. So if you're applying and your degree is not in a related field, so it could be arts, commerce, general studies, but you could still be accepted. We are looking for someone who has some education or ECE coursework, but and a strong background or experience in ECE. So it could be professional experience. It could be you've completed a college or university certificate or an equivalent program in ECE or a related field. Um, if it's an unrelated field, basically it's up to you to in your application, present a case for why you feel you have a background to be successful in a graduate program in ECE. So part of the application, there'll be a series of questions where it'll ask you about your background in ECE, why you're interested in the program. That's your opportunity to express, it's like, oh, well, I have a degree in, say, commerce, but I'm really interested in early childhood education, and here's what my experience and where I'm looking to move towards and how the program will fit into that. You'll need to include a resume that details your academic and work history and include any additional experience that might be relevant. So it could be courses, presentations, volunteer work if you've volunteered like in your child's school, or if you've done work in a daycare or coached a team, anything that you think might be relevant. And we are looking for minimum of 2 years of professional experience working with young children in an appropriate setting. Again, that could be a daycare, it could be a strong start, could be paid or volunteer, but some experience working with children. Another part of the application will be a writing sample, and this would be something from a past course or an academic essay. We do have information on our website. Not everybody has got a copy of an old assignment, so it might be several years since you were in school, and you might not have access to anything that was recent or that you would want to use. On our website, we do have two articles, academic articles related to ECE, where you can do an academic summary, a 500-word summary to provide. Now, we're looking for around 500 words. We've had people submit a 200-page thesis. We don't need that much. We're just looking for an example of your academic writing, but a chapter out of a thesis might be there, or a major project or a final paper, something like that. And again, as I said, that there are some additional questions on the application. We do have those questions listed on our website. I'll include the website link in the chat shortly, so you can prepare and you can look at those. The form does limit you by the number of characters or words, so you might find yourself getting cut off. So you just have to pay attention to that when you're filling that part out. So the English requirement, and there's been a few questions about English requirements. In general, if you have completed a 4-year degree at an institution where English is the primary language of instruction, that's all you need to do to meet the English language requirements. So that could be any institution in Canada, the United States, the UK, Australia. There are a variety of other countries where English is the primary language of instruction, but it must be for the entire institution, not just, oh, my particular program was done in English. If you don't have that, then you must do an English language proficiency test, such as the IELTS or TOEFL. They must have been taken within the last 24 months at the time of your submission for your application. So basically within 24 months from now, not from next September when you'd be starting the program. And we do need official copy of that. So when you when you fill in your application, you'll put in what your if you have the test, you'll put in what your results were, but then we will contact the actual testing agency to verify those numbers. So, in addition, you need to provide 2 letters of reference where at least one is academic. Um, Again, sometimes there are going to be people who haven't been in school for quite a few years and don't have an academic. Um, the academic is quite important, so we really do encourage that you have at least one academic. If you have 2 academic, that's great too. Um, a professional reference should be from someone who has supervised you. And just to be aware, the academic reference or the professional reference will still ask them for their opinion on your potential success in a graduate program. So we've occasionally had professional referees confused why they're being asked about that. They're like, well, I'm not an academic reference. But what we're doing is we're asking them, how do you feel that this person, do you have any reason to, that what, given what you've worked with them, um, do you feel that they would be successful in a graduate program? References are normally submitted electronically. There is an e-reference, a secure online application, or a website where they're uploaded, and a referee can either use that online form or they can upload their own letter. Quite often, referees will do both. Um, the issue is you have to have a professional email address that is basically from where their place of work is or a non-public free email. So somebody who has a Gmail or a YouTube or a Hotmail account, those email addresses will not be accepted on the secure online application. In those cases, the referees will need to mail the reference letters to us. And similar to an official transcript, the letters must be in a sealed envelope and the flap of the envelope signed just for security to make sure there's been no tampering with the letters. We are not able to accept references by phone or by email. The email has occasionally been accepted when there's things like mail strike. Right now, I believe mail is being delivered, so we're not at a point where we would need to make those kind of exceptions. But if something should happen with Canada Post, then then we may need to look at that. But at this point, most references should go through that secure online application website. Part of the package is also a part-time acknowledgement form. The online cohorts for our ECE program is a part-time program, and there's an acknowledgement form that you need to submit that acknowledges that because there's some things that aren't eligible for when you are a part-time student. Um, our part-time programs are not eligible for scholarships, grants, bursaries, interest-free student loans, or any financial aid through UBC or government loans. Even if a government loan is available for part-time students, UBC will not accept those generally. When the form is sent to UBC to validate it, UBC will say, no, it's part-time program. They're not eligible for any finances. So that's just something to be aware of. There are certain types of funding that you can get that are not like a scholarship or interest-free loans. those you would obviously still be eligible to. But for anything where it's generally a scholarship or bursary or interest-free loan, those are the types of things that unfortunately are not available to the program. So what you'll need to do is there'll be a link to the form in your application. You'll fill it out, sign it, and upload it to your application. Now the form is going to ask for your student ID. If you've previously applied to UBC or attended UBC, you should have a student ID number, which you can just fill in. If you're not sure what it is, or you have never applied to UBC before, what you would do is you wait until you submit your application, and then your student number will be assigned to you, and then you can go back in and edit your application and upload the form at that point. So to apply, you would go to the grad studies website, grad.ubc.ca/apply online. You're going to search for the MEd and early childhood education, and there'll be two entries that come up. You need to apply for the professional cohort option with the September 2026 start. The version without the professional cohort listed is our on-campus in-person program. So for the online, you need to make sure you've chosen the professional cohort. And every year we have somebody who's picked the wrong one. Either way, sometimes it's on campus, they applied on campus and they want it online, and sometimes they've applied online and they want it on campus. So just be careful. It will not say online on the app when you do the search, but once you get into the application, it will clearly say on the introduction that it's whether it's the online or the on campus. So just double check that when you're applying. Again, if you have a UBC ID from a previous study at UBC, please use that ID. By not including it, it can end up with duplicate entries for you in the system, which will put you into a that will flag it for being checked for merging for your data, and that just delays things. So if you're not certain of what your student ID is, you can contact graduate.apply and they can help you check on that. Or you can contact us and we can try to identify your previous student ID. You're going to upload all supporting documents, your transcripts, resume, writing sample, and the part-time acknowledgement form. You can submit everything without the documents and then go back and add them later. Just keep in mind that your application has to be submitted by January 4th. These additional documents must be in by January 18th, and we're going to be quite firm with that this year. There's sometimes been cases where we've made exceptions and we've done some extensions, but that causes issues for students who are needing to apply for study permits and other things. So we need to try to be very, very firm with these deadlines as much as possible. There's an application fee, which is non-refundable, $118.50 for domestic, $168.25 for international applicants. Tuition. Everybody wants to know about tuition. Currently, for the full program, you're looking at for domestic, which is Canadian or permanent resident, about just over $17,000 plus student fees. International is about 20,100 Canadian plus student fees. Student fees are going to vary from term to term. Usually the largest amount is in September, the first term of the year, with lesser in January and the summer. It will, over the full year, you can expect close to $1,000 between the various terms. There are some tuition fees or some student fees that can be opted out, some that cannot. So it will vary. So you want to take a look at the UBC calendar. The program lasts 8 terms, and the tuition is paid in 1 installment per term. So there's a total of 8 installments. That is a required number of installments. So if something should happen, and it's very rare, but we've had the odd occasion where somebody has had to take a medical leave or leave for some reason, and so they've skipped a term, and then they've taken 2 courses in the next term to catch up, and they've ended up completing in 7 terms. They still had to pay that extra 8 installment. Now, if it should happen that you need to take additional terms, so you might end up taking 9 terms because perhaps your final graduating project wasn't quite complete and you needed an extra term, then you would be paying a continuing fee on top for each additional term. So the individual installment right now is $2,131.37 for Canadian or PR, and international 2512.79. These fees do increase generally every year in May, and you'll pay these installments at the beginning of September, January, and May for the summer. Now, for summer, for anybody who's living in the Lower Mainland, um, there is a TransLink UPass fee, and it is required for all students, whether you're studying in person or on campus, if you live within the TransLink Greater Vancouver, Metro Vancouver area, and you would be charged in May and also in July. Summer is actually split into two terms, so you'll get that'll be an extra fee in July for those people who are local. Now, you just note that the tuition is charged, it's a whole program fee. It's not on a per credit basis or per course basis. So you pay your 21, 31, 37, and that covers any courses you're taking. So you'll have your general one course per term, and then maybe you're taking a second elective, or you do two electives. So maybe you're taking three courses in a term. You're not paying more for that. You just pay the same amount. Sometimes students will take extra courses. Just keep in mind that you need to have all your electives approved by your cohort advisor. And don't overload it, because sometimes students take a whole bunch of extra things because they're interested in it, and that can have an impact on your other courses. So again, student fees are charged in addition and vary from term to term. There are other things that you can opt out of. There's a health and dental fee if you already have coverage, say through an employer or through your spouse. And then there's the TransLink UPass. So it's $187.60 per term. Summer, the amount is slightly different because it's a shorter term. Now, if you are a teacher in a school and you've taken UBC BEd students into your classroom as student teachers, you may have a teacher education certificate with credits that you can use toward courses. If you're interested in applying those to some of your graduate programs, you would contact the teacher education office and they can provide you with information on how that would work for you.